Big Basin State Park is one of California's most beautiful state parks. Unfortunately, a wildfire in 2020 nearly destroyed it, with over 90% of the park burned in some way. While many of the trails are still closed, some are opening back up, and I wanted to go up there and see for myself what the park looked like in 2024. This video is from a few months ago, so some of the details may have changed, but let's jump into my trip to Big Basin. Today I'm in California's oldest state park for the first time since the crazy fires came through here in 2020. I'm excited to see what this park looks like, and we're gonna do about 5 miles of hiking. First up, we're starting with a half-mile nature trail, which is also wheelchair accessible. If you're looking for an easy way to see the big trees that the park is known for, then the Redwood Loop is the one you should probably do first. So almost immediately you can notice how ravaged these trees were by the fire, but you can also notice all of the new growth that's popping up around the trees, and even on the actual trees themselves as well. Also, one mention about parking: they recommend that you get a parking pass online, as it can fill up on the busy weekends, but you can get it in person if it's not full. Berry Creek Falls is by far my favorite trail in the park, so I can't wait until they reopen it and I can do it again. The last time I was here, I hiked the waterfall trails, but there's no waterfall trails open at all right now. Also, I love this park because they have banana slugs, which is one of my favorite creatures on earth, but it's pretty dry right now, so I don't know if we're gonna get lucky and see any, but I'm keeping my eyes peeled. This is the oldest state park in California, and it was actually created in 1902. It has one of the largest groves of coastal redwoods south of San Francisco. It's definitely crazy to see all of this damage from the fire, but it is pretty cool to be able to see the way that they're regrowing. These trees are almost fireproof. Even though you can see the scars of the fire on many of these big trees, the bark on these trees can be up to a foot thick, which allows it to survive deadly fires, and these trees often live to over 2,000 years old. The Redwood Loop is still an amazing place to see big trees, and well worth your time to visit if you're in the area. Alright, we finished the Redwood Loop, and now we're heading out on the Meteor Trail, which is about 5-ish miles round trip. Never done this one before, we'll see how it goes. When I visited, this was pretty much the only other trail that was open in the park, so I didn't really have any other choice on what I was going to do. That being said, I actually really liked this trail though, especially the second half when we were on the Skyline to Sea portion. This trail is a loop, so you can do it either way, but I'm doing it clockwise, so the uphill is a little bit more gradual. I have no idea whether this plant is good or bad, but it is definitely everywhere on the trail. Let me know in the comments. If you go in a clockwise manner, then you gain about 1,000 feet of elevation in the first 1.5 miles of the trail. What's nice about it though is when you top out at the summit, you basically go downhill all the way back to the parking area. Here you can see a whole bunch of redwoods that have been burned, but you can see all of the growth up there on the tops of the trees, and then also all of the growth down here. I know that fires are a pretty natural part of the forest, but this is really unique to be able to see it and experience it yourself instead of just reading about it. I haven't seen another person the entire time I've been in the park other than rangers. I can tell I'm the first one on the trail because I'm like hitting all the spider webs as I go. Pretty cool to be out here, and it's so quiet. There's nobody out here. We just came out of that trail and we connected with this other trail that's going to take us up to the Ocean View summit. Once you finish the major uphill portion, you'll basically just be walking on a dirt road along the ridgeline. We're almost to the Ocean View summit area, and I'm a little skeptical that we'll be able to see the ocean, but that's what it says. Alright, I was wrong. We're not even at the summit yet and you can see the ocean already. Also, you can really see how ravaged this forest is. I didn't realize that was the actual summit where I was taking the picture from, so you can see the ocean out there. So from that summit, you can go back the way you came for about 4-ish miles round trip. You can go this way to the Meteor Trail for about 5 miles round trip, and you know we want to see something new, so we're going on the Meteor Trail. On the way down, be sure you're looking out for the Meteor Trail, as it's pretty easy to miss. But we're going down that way. Once you head off on the Meteor Trail, it's downhill all the way back to the car from here. This is probably the most beautiful part of the trail so far. You can imagine how beautiful it would have been before the fire came through as well. I had no idea what I was getting myself into when I came on this trail, but it blew me away as it was basically a big ravine that was filled with redwood trees. It's really unique to see them in this setting, as normally it's just a flat grove that you're walking through.
Alright, this part of the trail is absolutely beautiful. Big trees everywhere and lots of new growth. I'm glad I hiked the trail this way, as this is definitely the best part of the trail, so getting the other part over first and then just coming and exploring this magical area is a nice way to end.
I spent probably 45 minutes on this less than a mile section of the trail, as I just could not get over how beautiful the views were on it.
Alright, we're saying goodbye to the beautiful Meteor Trail, and we're on a paved road for a little bit before we connect with another trail to make it back to the car. It's definitely sad to see how ravaged this park got from the 2020 fire. If you want to see a previous time I visited, you can see it up here. It's a pretty laughable video though. It's a really old one. It's probably got some techno music, but I did find banana slugs then.
After a quarter mile walking the road, we connected with the Skyline to Sea Trail, which took us the last mile back to the parking area. You can basically see the road from this trail the entire time, but it's nice to be walking on a single track and looking down on a small creek. As I walked the last half mile of this trail, I just reflected on how beautiful it was to see these trees just regrowing at the rate that they were. I read online that they did a research study and they believed the growth to be pretty prolific, and that they didn't know whether or not it would be like this because of how extreme the fire was in this area. I know that fire can be integral to the growth of redwoods, but it's pretty amazing to see nature's resilience as you're walking through these trails.
Honestly, that was a really great time in Big Basin State Park. Even with the fire damage, it's still a beautiful park. Not a lot of people here on a weekday, so it's like almost relaxing exploring and hiking here. If you want to see some more of my favorite California state parks, you can see those in the description, and we'll see you on the next video.